Welcome back to Midnight Pinball. My name is Troy Lanphier, and today we'll be installing a brand new Note 8 board at my Stern Ghostbusters Premium. Mine has developed this not so cool issue, as you can see. Vibrations from things like multi-ball have caused an intermittent issue, which makes the lower playfield lights completely disappear or flicker, and the flipper coils quit firing. As you can see, everything from pretty much this point down is not lit. None of my flippers work. You'll notice that there's no ball in the launcher because it doesn't know to send it. And you'll notice that every now and then, if you look closely on the side right in here, you'll see that these LEDs are just barely flashing. So we have a distinct issue. And this pretty much calls for a Note 8 replacement. I've done some looking on the boards and everyone agrees that this is not fixable. So here we go. On spike systems, Note 8 boards are mounted right beneath the flipper area. There is a ton of vibration in that area, and I think that the original board might have a cold solder joint on one of its connections. Sometimes the thing works, sometimes it doesn't. If I unplug it, plug it back in, it'll work for a while, then it'll fail again. I might get a chance at some point to have a closer look at this board, see if I can troubleshoot it, but honestly, I just miss playing this pinball, so a new board was in the cards. This particular pinball, this Ghostbusters, is out of warranty, so I ordered a brand new 48 volt 8 driver Note board from an online Stern distributor. This experience isn't too cheap, unfortunately, as the board set me back about $300. To protect my new investment, I've installed the spacer and cable tie kit from Service Bulletin 189. This kit is actually meant to prevent another issue where if one of the diode leads break, it can break the Note board. There's not a whole lot to swapping these boards out. The most important part is certainly taking a lot of photos of all of these connectors and the original board and the wiring harness so that when you disconnect it and remove it, the replacement board receives the same connectors in the same location. Just so you know, I cheat a lot. This doesn't apply to my pinball game, but it does apply to my service game. I printed out this handy page from the Stern Ghostbusters manual. On page 24, they show you the board that we're replacing, but I noticed one thing about this page that was missing. Right here. You see, on the board drawing, they put all these nice interface listings on the page, but they didn't bother to actually label any of the interfaces. So I took my board, read the numbers off the board, and wrote them on my document, and that way I can service this board a whole lot easier. The location of the connectors in the wiring harness will help us to locate the correct interfaces if we try to plug this board back in. But more importantly, we want to know that there are only a couple of places where the connectors are actually physically the same. If you look at the connector side of our replacement board, you'll see that most of the connectors are not the same at all. They all have different numbers of pins and so forth. But some have 4 or 5 pins, some have 11 or 12, just all depends. The ones we're really worried about are CN 12 and 13, which are right here, this one and this one. And we're also worried about CN 2 and 3, which are over here on the edge. So basically this upper right corner is the one we're really concerned with. CN 12 has a 10-pin connector on the top right corner of the board with an identical connector to CN 13 on the right edge. And when we install this board, you'll see that Stern made this a bit easier by color coding the CN 12 connector in orange. Quite easy to work with, while CN 13's connector is just plain white. You'll also notice that it's possible to mix up CN2 and CN3, which is why we take lots of pictures of this board. One more thing about the connections on this board. CN15, which is this connector right here on a Ghostbusters, I don't know about the rest of them, but it's actually not used on the Note 8 board, so don't go crazy trying to find a cable connection that's just simply not there. If you're installing this 48 volt board as a Note 8, there's one thing to check, its address. You see, Note 8 and Note 9 boards are physically interchangeable. All you have to do to convert one to the other is to change its address using the S1 address dip. If you're using this board as Note 8, which I am in this case, you'll notice that you'll set the dip to off, 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 the 4 settings. Off, 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 and off. On the other hand, if you're using this board to replace Note 9, you'd change the third switch on this dip such that the dip reads off, off, on, off. With our new board set up as Note 8, we'll remove the original Note board, but I'm going to actually show you on our brand new board just for convenience sake. We'll start with the RJ45 connection that we've got on the left edge, and we're actually going to work clockwise, pulling each of these connections loose until all the connections have been removed. Of course, we've taken lots of pictures at this point, so that's important. Some of these connectors aren't that easy to remove, as the board connections themselves have a plastic lock right here on the bottom of this tab which holds the connection solid. Also notice that the power connection is actually missing a tooth on purpose. This is actually keyed on the wiring harness if you've never pulled one of these out before. So there's only one way you can put this wiring harness back together from a power standpoint. So again, just to concentrate, CN12, CN13, we want to make sure we get those right. CN2, CN3, we want to make sure we get those right. And after that, all the rest are differently pinned, so we won't have any issues with duplication or plugging things into the wrong place. Finally, we'll remove the 5 1/4-inch hex head screws that hold this board together. One is located at each corner of the board, but then there's a fifth screw that's hiding down here in the center that we'll need to back out as well. After you turn your Ghostbusters or any of the other machines back on with your brand new node board in, what you'll find is that it actually does not yet have its identity. When you look at the DMD at the top of the display, what you'll actually see, of course you're not seeing it right now, but what you'll actually see is a thing that says that it's updating node 8 and node 9. And then if that actually works out correctly and it's downloaded the correct packages from the main processor down to this unit, it'll actually say update successful. And in our case, hooray, look at that. All of our lights are working again. All of our sides are working. If I press the to start play, my ball starts kicking out the way it's supposed to. And if I hit my flippers, everything is good to go.
Choose your skill shot.
So choose your skill shot. That's exciting. That's it. It's all done. The lower playfield looks a lot better. We know that the coils for the ball trough work, we know that the flippers work, and the lights are all working. Terrific. We're ready. Well, that's it. We're all done. Until next time, we will see you on the other side of midnight.